welcome to ET Auto. As we have just wrapped up the month of July and entering into the new month of August, we bring to you our monthly series, The Month Gone By, where we discuss key insights and trends that happened in the past month in the Indian automotive industry. We have with us our industry expert, Mr. Arun Malhotra, who's been a part of the Indian automotive industry for over 3 decades now, across managerial roles in major OEMs including Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj Auto, and Mahindra. His last corporate stint was with Nissan India in 2018. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Malhotra.
Thank you, Johnny.
So we'll begin with the sales performance of the industry. Probably we have seen a growth in the passenger vehicle segment up to 3.52 lakh units dispatches probably for the segment. So how do you see this going forward? Do you see any kind of challenges there? Because the OEMs are also prepping up for the festive season in the coming months. By the end of August, we'll see Onam, and then slowly and gradually we'll see other festivals in different states. So how do you see that momentum going ahead?
So I think overall, I think one very positive part is that the supply chain issues and semiconductor issues are behind the auto industry. That's why, I mean, if you look at the dispatch figures, and can only come if the production is high. This 3.52 lakhs is the second all-time highest in the history of passenger four-wheelers. So that's a very positive sign. And in the first 4 months, 13.5 lakhs has been clocked. So which is again a very good figure. And it is, the momentum is there. So that's a very positive sign. And I think sales have also been okay. There's only one caveat or one caution we must exercise. 13.5 lakhs is the dispatch for the first 4 months, that is dispatch from company to dealers. But if you look at Vahan data, which is the registration data, and if you combine for 4 months, and you also assume, because it covers 96% of sales, that figure somewhere comes around 12 lakhs. So effectively, in the first 4 months, more than 1.5 lakhs vehicles have been added to the dealer stock. So dealer stock already was 4 weeks before the starting of the year, which is a good, reasonable stock to maintain because it includes stock and transit. But now it's gone to 6 weeks. So the opportunity to increase stock is not there. Coming to the second part, you said that this is a build-up for the festival season. Yes, Onam is around the corner. But the major festivals, which are Durga Puja, Dashera, Diwali, Dhanteras, the 4Ds as I call them, they are falling from 15th October. So that's still more than 10 weeks away. So effectively, this build-up of stocks will help you to some extent in Onam or Ganesh Chaturthi next month. But that is, I think, not the answer. I think one of the ways we dealers are looking at it is that this is a good option to build stocks because network has never had stocks in four-wheelers. And this is, but the 6 weeks is stock. But one unique thing in spite of the high stocks is, we are still 8 to 10 models in the passenger vehicles which are still on waiting. So one side you have a 6 weeks waiting, 6 weeks stock, and other side there are models which waiting can vary from 2 to 6 months, depending on the model. So that's the part. But overall very positive as far as passenger four vehicles is concerned.
So going forward to the two-wheeler segment, just like the cars, the small cars and the commuter segment in the two-wheelers, not really taking up as much, and the premium segment, taking the lead there. So what is your take on that? How do you see that growing? The rural markets have improved, even the car makers are seeing a growth in the rural markets. So how do you see that going
So
forward?
that's a green shoot for the two-wheeler industry. But having said that, the growth, if I take in the first 4 months, is just to the tune of 5.5%. And the expectation of industry analysts was that two-wheeler will grow by 10 to 12%. That way it is lagging the growth prospect. Whereas in passenger vehicles, the growth is expected to be 5 to 6, it's 7.7. Rural is improving, but not to an extent which can be a matter of great joy. It is improving. I mean, rural is done better. July traditionally is a bad month for two-wheelers because it's impacted by a monsoon a lot with two-wheeler sales. To that extent, the figure of 12.5 lakhs, which is slightly a decline over last year, you may say it's a decline, and 2-3 major manufacturers have actual double-digit declines. But that was the time when they were building stocks. But I won't call that a very poor sales. Retailers are even lower. Against this 12.5 lakhs, retails are to the tune of 11.5. But still, I think that positive momentum is not there. But let's look at the positive part. All motorcycles or two-wheelers which are above a certain price point, or which you can say even the semi-premium, they are doing well. So, but at the entry level is a challenge, and I firmly believe unless you answer it in terms of pricing, which is GST, that will not emerge. And that constituted a large chunk. So two-wheelers improvement, clearly better, rural, but still not out of the woods.
That's actually a bigger challenge because India being a biggest two-wheeler market, so really needs to be worked out, right? And but we have talked about the sales momentum and the outlook for the next few months, but this is like what we are seeing inside the industry. So basically, how do you see or how do you perceive the industry, from the outside? Talking about the growth of the overall automotive industry, considering the OEMs, ancillary, and everything together.
So, very interesting question you asked. I was talking to some analysts, and there's a very interesting way of looking at the auto industry. Nifty this year, which is the top 50 shares, has grown by about 8.2% from January 1st till date. If you take the Nifty Auto, which combines shares of the OEMs and the auto ancillaries, is grown by 21%. So effectively, the share prices of auto companies, the weighted average, is grown by 20% as compared to 8%. That's 2.5 times. That clearly shows that there is one, the results are positive. The other is the expectation of the future is good. We just had a lot of financial results coming in the last 4 weeks, whether it was two-wheelers, whether it was passenger vehicles, whether commercial vehicles. All companies have shown good set of numbers, very good high turnover growth and very good high increase in profit. To that extent, I think auto is on a strong wicket, and it's not only viewed inside, but externally people who put their money in a big way, look at industry, are positive. Then there's so many voices, so many collaborations happening. Tesla is coming. Whether when they come is different, but the mood is positive. They feel India is a destination where you need to invest as far as auto is concerned. So
Right.
that's, I think, is a positive part.
Also, one thing that has worked for the OEMs is also the average vehicle price that has really gone
Absolutely.
up. So that has really put in the profits in place.
Yeah, absolutely right, because the average car price or average passenger vehicle price is now somewhere to the tune of 10 lakhs. And this is because of the growth of the SUV contributing 50%.
Yeah.
And if it was just 4 years back, it was 6 lakhs.
Right.
So when you look at the last year, 20% growth of passenger four-wheelers, and if you just don't go by numbers of units, but you go by value, the growth is even much higher percentage. And that's even reflected in auto ancillaries. If you look at the auto ancillaries growth, which is the ACMA shows figures, the growths are much higher than industry. So overall, that way, it's a very positive sign.
Right. So overall, the industry is positive for the next 5 years, we can say.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
3 years at least.
Also, because there are lots of technologies that are that are coming up, and like you mentioned, lots of talks about investments and all of that happening. Yes. Next thing that we have been talking about is EVs. Probably EVs is a big game changer here. So we have seen all the talks around the FAME subsidy coming down, and the two-wheeler makers, how they are performing. So on a month-on-month basis, we have seen the sales have stabilized. It's good, probably we can say that. But other than the subsidy part or the FAME impacting the sales of the two-wheelers, do you think any kind of challenges are there that the industry needs to work out to move forward and get to that target of 1 million? That
one thing is that even after the decrease of subsidies which happened, which did take place from June, and there was a big drop. 1 month there was a big upswing. In May and June there was a drop, and people said July things will come to normal. 54,000, which is the numbers last month, which is the Wuhan data, 55, 56,000 is not a great number. So there are challenges as far as, and the penetration, if even when I look at today, is still hovering around that 5% mark, which is there for the last 8 months. So in the EV two-wheelers, you're not growing. But let's look at the fundamental issue beyond subsidy. We keep talking of subsidy, FAME. If you look at the two-wheeler market in India, 66% or 2/3 of the market is motorcycle and 1/3 is scooters. But if you look at the EVs in the market, 97 or 98% is scooters and 2% is motorcycle. So what is it showing? That the large market, which is motorcycle, which is they drive longer, which is more in terms of rural, there we don't have products. Either the products cannot be designed or they're priced very higher. So if you're not covering, for various reasons, this 66% of the market of the two-wheeler is not getting covered, then your penetrations will always be a challenge. Because today you are only seeing penetration, although you say two-wheelers, but vis-a-vis scooters, and scooters will be 32%. So that's a challenge area. The price goes up, the designing is more difficult, the way engine is placed, it doesn't come under the FAME subsidy. So I see there has to be some solution for the motorcycle. Unless we have an answer how we are going to tap. And most of the motorcycle companies, if you look at the figures, they all are below 1,000, 500, 400, 300. Neither here nor there. 1,000, 1,100 out of 55,000. So that's a very big challenge as far as two-wheelers is concerned. Until we address the motorcycle issue, the penetration percentage will always be low.
I hope I'm wrong here, but I think that's going to take some time, probably because we just have a handful of companies who are offering products in the electric motorcycle segment right now. So lots of challenges, as you mentioned.
So, you're absolutely right. I mean, you're not wrong, you're right, absolutely. The companies are still there, 4-5 companies are focusing, and 2-3 of them have big funding in this thing. But I think getting that price value equation, and then the moment you move to semi-urban, rural, charging infrastructure or charging will become a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Cities there. So we need to really look into this issue.
And sir, coming to the passenger vehicle segment, EVs hasn't been doing, or EVs has not reached that stage yet for many reasons, right? So how do you see the scope of other technologies, or what could where could OEMs go? A lot of OEMs are taking up the multi-pronged approach in terms of powertrains. So how do you see that scope going ahead?
So passenger vehicles is a very interesting area. One of our objectives is that we need to reduce emissions and to reduce our fuel bills. If you look at passenger vehicles, there are various technologies available. And these are not only in theory form, they're in practical form. Look at CNG, double digit of the market. Look at flex fuels, amount of news which is being made on ethanol, 20% of fuel. Look at hybrids, whatever hybrids are launched without really government subsidy, they're having good response. So actually, in the passenger four-wheelers, there are different technologies available. And sometimes I think we need to, in our FAME policy or in our approach we look at it, we need to be technology agnostic. So probably the EV percentage may not be that high. It may be good as far as taxis or fleet is concerned, where the real benefits will come. But I believe strongly that CNG, flex fuels, hybrids have today even and will have in future a bigger role to play as far as passenger four-wheelers is concerned.
Do you see them having an equal share as EVs going forward?
So, it's difficult to predict or difficult to do a forecast, but I believe today you see all these other technologies, there's not much of subsidy available. All the subsidy in the FAME policy is linked to EVs. If a certain level of subsidy was given to other technologies, I can see them shooting up.
Okay.
So let the best technology win, time will tell, and how well it is evolved, how in terms of customer convenience, in terms of costing will rule the day. But unlike two-wheelers where you only have either a petrol or back to here, we here beyond petrol diesel, we have over 3 to 4 active solid technologies.
That's right. Actually, the prices were revised for CNG with the policy in April, and we have seen the impact there.
So that's right.
So, overall, if we have to talk about the auto industry, passenger vehicles, two-wheelers, and commercial vehicles, how do you see the perspective or outlook for this year? Brief, just in 2 words.
So just
if you have to
passenger
say.
vehicles, very strong, big base, but still good. Two-wheelers will grow, but not to the potential. Commercial vehicles growing, but not in percentage terms, but in tonnage terms. But overall, I would say it is good.
All right. I think that's all for today. And thank you so much for watching ET Auto. And stay tuned for more updates. Thank you.
Thank you.